Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 539, our MonCon review.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Go to their website. They have amazing product that you will truly enjoy. It will enhance every game night, guaranteed. GameToppersLLC.com.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Andy Holliday.
I am Douglas Stewart.
And I'm Nathan Howard.
We would love for you to check out our website. We have links to all of our previous episodes. We have some photos for you to check out of some of our gaming experiences, and we have some links to our bios. We'd love for you to check those out, see how each of us got into the hobby. We also have a link to our Patreon page. We love our patrons. We thank you so much for your support. Thank you for helping us improve the podcast for all of our listeners. If you too would like to become a patron, click that link, head on over to Patreon and join Meeple Nation officially by becoming one of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. We also would love to hear from you. If you have questions or comments or just want to reach out and say hello, hit us up at meeplenation@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from each and every one of you.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Well, normally this is the part of the podcast where I would interject something about, hey, let's move on to the highlights of the week. And then we'd each list something off and have a good time. This episode is all highlights.
Yes, nothing but the highlights.
It's all killer, no filler.
Oh, killer, no filler.
Because we went to MonCon last week.
MonCon.
And it was fantastic.
So we originally had teased that we would be talking about our MonCon review in episode 537, but with all of the amazing fun that we had, we thought we would just dedicate this whole episode to that amazing experience. I mean, we've gone to conventions, right? We've gone from anything to a small little convention where we just, like Icon, where we just played some games. We've gone to BGG, we've gone to BryceCon, SaltCon Summer into Summer. We've gone to several conventions around here. We have several game nights. And as we were there, and we were talking with Julie, and I was asking her if she was coming to SaltCon end of summer. And she asked, why do you want to go to cons so much? What makes cons so amazing? A lot of that is, I mean, not a lot of it, all of it is the people, right? So we get a chance at some of these conventions to game with people that we don't see on a regular basis. People that come from distances. The main SaltCon in March. I mean, we have friends that come from Vernal. We have friends that come from Arizona. We have friends that come from Idaho. We have friends that this is like the only time that we get to go to get to game with these individuals. And we have a ton of fun at all those. That is nothing compared to the fun we had at MonCon. MonCon was like concentrated, like you said, no filler or no...
all killer, no filler.
All killer, no filler. There was no filler in this weekend at all. And we keep calling it a weekend. It was 4 days, right? We got up there on Wednesday, and then we left on Sunday, so we had a lot of time to game.
A lot of good game time. So Nathan, maybe give everyone just a little bit of backstory. We talk about some of these conventions. We're a Utah-based podcast. We talk about SaltCon a lot, and SaltCon hosts 4 events a year. So we talk about those on a regular basis, and we do, like you mentioned, we talk about some of the other little conventions and stuff that we go to. Every now and then we mention Hug a MeepleCon.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that originated, because I think people need to know just a little bit more about how this convention started.
The first time we went to SaltCon, we're part of a group that's Northern Utah Gaming Guild. NUG. Yeah. And so Julie, who is the official, unofficial leader of HUG, was on BGG trying to find some sort of individuals or group to game with. And she had a couple of friends that she gamed with on a somewhat regular basis.
The Hug. And we're using those so not to get them confused. So NUG, Northern Utah Gamer Guild, that's the group online. And then Julie and her friends, and we'll talk more about them, but that's Hug. With an H, right?
So
HUGG, right? And they were looking for a community.
Well, no,
Is that what happened?
Before Hug was...
before this they were a thing.
Yeah, before Hug was their nomenclature.
Nomenclature?
Before Hug was their nomenclature, that's what Julie was doing, was trying to find a community out there. And she discovered NUG, and so they wanted something close to that, and so they were trying to get together and do something with that. And so eventually they kind of came up playfully with the name Harriman Utah Gaming Girls. And so all these ladies live in the Harriman area or nearabouts, and they all game, and their spouses don't really. I mean, they will occasionally.
So kind of like us.
Kind of the exact mirror of us, yeah. And so years ago at SaltCon, we met up with them. We did Ryan, Brent, and myself did an interview with them, and we sat around a very loud and very noisy table and tried with one microphone sitting in the middle. We were down the hall at SaltCon. It was way loud, and it was a very terrible episode. And I'm sure if you go find it on our webpage, you can go find it as we interviewed these ladies. And then the next SaltCon, we met up with them again, and we played more games, got some stuff in together, did a lot of good times. And then the next SaltCon, and then the next SaltCon, and the next SaltCon. And those relationships just became something that were awesome. We looked forward to that. We planned dinners. We got together with all of our events, tried to schedule things together. We would ask them what kind of games they wanted to play before we hosted stuff. And then 2020 happened. Ugh. Yeah. Is right. We had that SaltCon in 2020. There was a lady sitting behind me. She was COVID patient 0 there. She was just hacking, coughing.
Rona Rhonda behind you, right?
And then the very next day was when all the
world shut down.
The world shut down.
Yeah.
And we went kind of through that, and there was all the lull in gaming, and everything was
conventions.
Everything was sad and wrong in the world. And as that went through, we missed being able to get together, and so we had each other's contact information, and so we started chatting back and forth, and then it came up.
And this was when SaltCon Spring, we were hoping they were going to have it in 2021.
Yeah.
And then we found out they canceled it.
Yep.
And that's when the chatting started happening.
Yeah, we need to have an off con. We need to have a private con where we know everybody's going to be safe and we're going to get together. And so that April 2021, Hug a Meeple Con was born. So Andy said, "Hey, let's open up my house." And Andy has a huge amount of space in his house, so we all invaded his territory, and there was probably 30 of us.
Yeah, 30, 35 people.
That came and invaded Andy's house, and we had some good food. We had some great times, and we played some games. And all that is based around the people, right? That's what makes all of this awesome. And so then the next year, we're like, okay, or maybe it was even later that year. I can't remember.
It was. So when we finished with the original Hug a Meeple Con at my place, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was several of the Hug ladies were like, well, we'll host one next time. We'll do it in the fall. So we ended up with a Hug a Meeple Con North and a Hug a Meeple Con South, and it was a semi-annual thing. And this year I dropped the ball. I was working so stinking much that I just didn't get it planned for my house for Hug a Meeple Con North, but it actually kind of worked out because we had MonCon in place of Hug a Meeple Con, the Hug a Meeple Cons this year. Julie's
family owns some property up in Montana, and they have a small little cabin up there, lodge-ish cabin /
it's a lodge.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
It's incredible.
Yeah. She invited us up there very graciously.
Yes, this was very, very kind of them.
We were super excited. And so instead of having our Hug a Meeple Con North, we all went further north to Montana. Julie and her husband, Eric, are just amazing hosts to allow us all to come there, and
just as gracious as two people could possibly be.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. The humility of these two was just amazing. the generosity of come join us and to share everything. We brought up food, and every one of us made a meal just similar to our regular Hug a Meeple Con. Again, at the root of it, what made it amazing was the people. And there was some amazing food, and there was some amazing times playing games, which we're going to get to. But highlight of it for sure is always getting together with this group.
Yep, there were 22 of us that went up, and we got to spend, it was a little over 4 days combined, just playing amazing games and exploring the outdoors and enjoying each other's company, eating great food. It was fantastic.
It is impossible to express our gratitude enough to Julie and Eric for allowing this to happen. It was amazing.
It really was.
It was.
And as great as the people were, and like you said, number one was definitely the people, but
we did play some games.
We did play a whole host of games, and this is a gaming podcast. So let's talk about some of the highlights we had playing games up there. I'll kick us off. A little while back, I purchased a little game called Juicy Fruits. Fairly simple game. There's not a whole lot to this game. We played it a few times, really liked it, and it has sat on the shelf for quite a while. Recently, there was an expansion for Juicy Fruits that came out that I picked up, and I was hoping to get the game played with the expansion while we were up there. But everyone was new to playing Juicy Fruits, so we decided to do a refresher game. Well, we decided to do a new teach for most people. It was a refresher for me. And we got that one to the table, and I think we had a good time. Nathan, you and Cheryl,
Yep.
and me and Lydia played that one. It's a good game. I really like Juicy Fruits. There's enough there to make it a really fun, solid game. I like the spatial puzzle. I like those kind of chunky wooden components that it comes with. And
the fruit. Yeah, the wooden fruit.
Yep.
Yeah, I really liked this game too. I was, you had mentioned it before we'd played it, so I was kind of looking forward to it. But sitting down to it, it looked a little easy and not easy, but it looked simple. Like the instructions were simple. This is all you're doing. As you explained it, yes, that is all you're doing, but it's all about the strategy. You know, as you remove tiles, you have more to shift so that you can claim more fruits, so you can complete more contracts and complete more sales. And all that did really build up to a game that was really pretty fancy. It was really pretty juicy. It was a good game. I very much enjoyed it. The fact that I won also made me enjoy it, but just even at its core, and it was the first game that we played, everybody was mostly still kind of in the unpacking phase, getting in and going, oh, this place is amazing. It was kind of a quiet time to play that. So that was the very first game that we played, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So did Cheryl.
I did too. So now we just need to get it to the table with that expansion.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So let's get this out of the way. I played 2 party games.
And you enjoyed them.
Wow. That just, I don't know if I believe that.
I have evidence. I took a picture, and that little mouth was smiling so big.
I don't know if I would have believed it if I hadn't been there and seen it myself.
Yeah.
I did play 2 party games. I admittedly did have fun playing both those party games. Now, the first one, it wouldn't have been near as much fun if Linda hadn't totally messed up her picture and really bad art.
Yes.
And I about wet my pants laughing because I was laughing so stinking hard.
She tried to make a very innocent picture, and it was very inappropriate.
Extremely. And it went very inappropriately with the cards that were in play too.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. Thank you, Linda, for that.
That was hilarious.
And then we played, so that was really bad art. We also played a game called That Escalated Quickly. And that one was that's one I would definitely play again. It was a fun game. With an active player who has a phrase, and then there are the extremes. So, for example...
Oh, was that the one that I came in and judged the last round or whatever?
Yes, that is the one.
I like that one. I'd like to play the full thing. I just kind of joined for that last little bit.
And it was basically like that. So you're given, the person reads off a statement. I'm trying to think of one that's not about farts.
How I got my superpowers.
Well, the one that I came in and judged was like, it was about a law. Like you've moved to a new town, and you find out that this new town has a weird law. This is what the law, or how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to follow this law?
And 1 being most likely and 10 being least likely. And then everybody's given a number. And then depending on what your number is, you're trying to come up with a law that Doug, in this case, because he was the active player, would be able to guess as to whether he would follow it or not, whether it's middle of the road. Yeah, I'd probably follow that. Or yeah, there's no way I'd follow that law. Or yeah, that's a gimme. I'm doing that anyway. Right.
Yeah. Like you had whichever extreme was like most likely to obey.
Which was 1.
Okay. Yeah. And I think your example was like, we have a law where you got to come to the library once a week and pick up a stack of free board games, and you must host at least one game night a week. And he was just going off on this like law that demanded that we play lots of games and get free games and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll obey that law. So it was very obvious to tell that was the one extreme. But where the nuance came in was trying to guess the people who are kind of in the middle. And we almost got it right. Julie overestimated my liking of skipping.
Yes,
her law had to do with skipping, and I'm not a skipper. She thought I was more of a skipper than I am, and I don't skip.
You don't skip.
Well, and that's kind of the fun part that I enjoyed with it is you're trying to, because it's not just what you think is fun. It's you're trying to convey to the person you're trying to read that person. Okay, what is Doug going to be willing to follow and what is Doug not, or in any of these, right? And it was also fun, and it was tougher to get those middle numbers. Like you get, especially if you have like a 4, 5, 6, and those people describing the 4, 5, 6 don't know what the other person has either. So they're trying to gauge on, okay, well, Julie gave this clue, and I think she's a lower number than me, so I'm going to go a little bit more extreme or less extreme, depending on what the scale is. And it could totally, because you don't know, right? You could totally mess it up. Anyway, it was a fun game. We had a lot of laughs. There were some pretty funny questions.
Actually, that game is pretty good for a party game.
It really was.
Fun.
So do you try to put the laws in order?
You say what the law is. You don't show them your number. You hand them the card, and the person who's active has to arrange the cards in what they think is numerical order.
Yeah.
Okay.
So without knowing, you've just heard like the laws, and we keep talking about laws. That was just the one prompt. I mean, there's like 100 prompts in the game, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
But yeah, they're trying to say, okay, given all the information everyone's given me, this is the order I put them in before you actually can see what order they are.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the ultimate question then, Andy.
Okay.
And I think maybe you did ask it, and I may have missed it. But I believe you said this is a game that you would play again.
Yes.
So is this a game I should buy so that you will play it again?
Ooh, I think you should make Andy buy it so Andy will play it again.
Andy won't buy
I
a
won't buy
social
it.
game.
But yes, I would play it if you bought it.
All right. Going to Amazon
It's already
right now.
getting added to a cart.
It's going to be tough to play this without the hug ladies, though.
It is. There's been a lot of experiences where I've had great times with the hug ladies, and then you play it with somebody else, and you're like, oh.
Wah, wah.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%, which goes back to it's all about the people.
Yeah, it's true.
It is absolutely true. So the other party game that you played was Really Bad Art, and I don't remember which night it was, but we played that one.
It was the first one, the first play.
No, they played it.
We played it.
You played it in the evening later, right?
Yeah,
after I went to bed.
I think
Was
so.
I thought that was the second night. I think that was the second night because you woke me up.
Yeah, I don't remember, but one of the nights it was like midnight, and there was a big group of us, and man, that got us laughing so hard. And Linda was in that game too. And the running joke was, "Ooh, watch out for Linda. She draws the dirty pictures."
Yeah.
Oh man, that was
But
funny.
of all the games I played, that was definitely the one where we laughed the most. I mean, we were just absolutely dying with laughter that night. It was hilarious. And Marissa kept drawing. She kept drawing like the same thing for multiples, and it was just like a bigger or smaller version that was like the same shape.
The same squiggly.
Yeah, the same squiggly. And we were just like, what is happening?
Well, that is such a crazy, challenging game because
It is.
You have a phrase that you need to draw, and you literally have like 5 to 6 seconds to draw it.
Yeah, you have like no time. You've just got to get like the first like kind of thing that pops into your head onto the paper as fast as you can.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've also looked for that one, Andy, and that one's going to be a tougher find.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's currently not available anywhere that I could find.
That one is, with the exception of Linda's drawing and the amount of laughter that induced, I didn't have as much fun with that as I did
No.
with that escalated quickly.
Yeah. But again, you go back to Doug's example where they were playing it late at night. Everybody was tired, a little
That's
bit
true.
loopy.
Yeah, you get everybody tired.
You get a whole new experience of an amazing game.
That is true.
It's true. Speaking of party games, Nate, I noticed on your list you had put sync and connected clues. I mean, what like best games ever, right? Like
Best games ever.
best times
So
had.
These are two games that I purchased right before we went because I was looking for some good new party games that I want. I was looking for that escalated quickly or really bad art that I could take to donate to Amazing Memories. And so I bought these on Amazon and we tried them both. And when we got home, Cheryl says, "Do you think you can return those?"
Well, there's your review, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, we did try to play with a larger group than was recommended.
Sure.
And as we played the group that we were playing with, it was really funny because we started with this game and we tried it a little bit. And then somebody would sneak off on one side of the table. Somebody would sneak off on the other side of the table.
We're losing people.
So we were losing people. So we're like, all right, let's scratch this one. This one's not going to work. Let's try this Connected Clues. And Connected Clues was, you have a phrase on the top and you have a phrase on the bottom. Like, what was the Mark Zuckerberg? But anyways, you have the top phrase has a word that is
Like it would be like bookmark Zuckerberg or something like
that's
that,
what
right?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So the top phrase was bookmark and the bottom phrase was Mark Zuckerberg.
And you had to get everybody to say
We had to get one
bookmark-
person
or
to
one
say
person to say
bookmark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
And
Which is clever,
it is clever.
but what we discovered was like not necessarily super fun.
yeah.
And some people are way better at it than others. And so
For
it
sure.
became this like mad race. And then everyone was like, oh, yeah, I'm not that fast.
But the funny thing about this is as people would take their turn, then they would leave the table.
It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm out.
Yeah, and then we're out. But then we broke up that night, and that was like the last night that we were there. So then we broke off to go do some other games. And as we were trying to recruit people to play Werewolf with us, we were watching Andy and Richie and Dave and who else was with you over at the table?
I was over there.
Doug,
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah.
Sierra.
And Richie just kept going through these cards.
Yeah. He was quite fascinated with trying to link the names.
Yeah. And so as we had all walked away from this game was still getting played. So Connected Clues does bring me back to, hey, there may be something there that maybe that one might be worth keeping.
Yeah.
And it might be a party game, but it's not a party game that you play with more than 10 people.
Yeah. Maybe not even that.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of sync though. And Lydia turned to me and she was like, is this one you have? And I was like, no, did you want me to look again? She's like, oh no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So Lydia and Cheryl on the same team.
Sierra was too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a lead balloon for everybody. It fell completely flat. It might work for somebody else, but it's, I'm not even going to explain it. It didn't work for us.
It sure didn't.
It's a party game, so
Yeah.
had that going against
I mean,
it already.
is it because it felt like if you had too many people, it was
It was a small group party game, which is even worse, I think,
an antisocial party game? Is that what you call it?
Antisocial party game.
Yeah.
It may appeal to some people, but it just didn't really appeal to us.
On the bright side, now I'm looking at the bright side here. So a party game like this where you can sneak off and not really be super noticed, that's kind of a great party game.
No, I noticed everybody walking away as I was trying to. And it got more and more frustrating. But because I wanted it to be a winner, right? And it felt bad that it just was a dud for sure. But we did get a chance to go and we played some other party games where we were trying to get enough for a werewolf. We played Green Team Wins. Have either of you guys played this?
Nope.
This is a party game where they'll ask a question like this or that, or out of these three, what would be your answer? One of the questions is like, which holiday provides the most or the best candy? And Christmas, Easter, Halloween. And you have to make a guess, but the guess is all about the majority rules. So if you make your guess and the majority of the group makes your guess, then you are on the green team. You'll get a point for joining the green team. And from that point on, anytime you answer the question with the majority, you're going to score 2 points because you're on the green team. And if you ever don't answer with the majority, you're sent back to the orange team and you have to wait to try to get back on the green team and hopefully stay on the green team long enough to score 25 or 30 points. I can't remember which it was, but it was fun. Had some humor in it. Not nearly as exciting as really bad art or that escalated quickly. But it did get us kind of in the mood to play Werewolf. We played Werewolf, had a really small group. We played with 8 people, and we tried to get the app to run it, but that didn't quite work out right. But we had Matisse and Amara there who wanted to play a social game, but definitely did not want to play werewolf, because Amara says she gets killed right off, and Matisse is like, I'm not doing that at all. And which is what Amara should have said right from the beginning, but she wants to be involved, but not that involved.
Yes.
And so we actually asked them to help kind of moderate. So I would actually moderate, but I was just playing as well. So I'd run through all the things that would go through, and they would check to see who the werewolves attacked, who the seer looked at, and let them know that information. So they got to participate without really participating. And I think it was a perfect level of werewolf for both of them.
That's nice.
Yeah. And
you're the best moderator, Nathan.
Oh,
so.
Thanks. Yeah. Played a game, and then we played a second game, and we got Dave to join us, and we got Ren to join us. And it was a different experience with some of the hug fellers. And it was still good times. We had a blast. It was actually really ran a lot longer than I thought it would, especially with such little numbers. But there was a lot of going back and forth on who's this, who's that, why this, why that, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. And the villagers won the second one, so that was great.
Sometimes I think we need to record when you guys play werewolf, just so we can play it out of context, because we would hear random, we just need to decide who to kill.
Yeah.
We got to kill someone. If we don't kill someone, they're going to kill us.
Someone yelling from the corner, I'm the seer and I say we kill this person. Yeah, there were some good lines that came out of that.
Yeah, it was good times for sure. But those were kind of our social, that whole night was kind of more of a social game night.
I was really excited that I got to play Altiplano. So Richie and me and Debbie sat down and played this, and I forgot how much I loved it. I mean, I knew that I liked it quite a bit, but I kind of forgot how good this game is. Altiplano is a really good game.
It is.
And we have had conversations about it in the past. We've complained about some of the components, and yes, the base game without some upgraded stuff definitely came with some cheap cardboard and some bad components. But I went and picked up the Geek Up stuff, like there's the upgraded bags and chips, and I 3D printed some stuff. So I have a little bit of a better version of this. Altiplano is fantastic, and it's a great bag building game. And you get very much those same vibes as you'd get, like doing a deck builder, but it's fun putting chips in the bag and cycling them through and pulling them out and deciding what you're going to do with them. We need to play more Altiplano. That's a great, great game.
Yeah, it is a great game. And it is a shame that the base game components are so terrible for such an amazing game.
Yeah. Richie,
that was one I called. I just didn't really dig it all that much.
Oh, really?
Maybe I needed to give it another shot.
I think you do.
Yeah, give it another shot. Richie destroyed us. He definitely mopped the floor with us. Real good.
I can't believe you let him do that.
It wasn't for lack of trying, but we had a really good time. And it was good to sit down and play a game with Debbie. She's awesome.
She is awesome. I love Debbie. Well, one of my favorite games I played, I had two favorites that I played at the con. And the first one was Apiary. I have been itching to play this since SaltCon Spring when I saw it. The Hug Ladies were playing it, and then you hosted this also, I believe, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looked like a very cool, amazing game. And it did not disappoint at all. And I had a really great combo with my initial setup. But yeah, it was fun. Ended up being a kind of a runaway between Sarah and myself, and I ended up beating her by 2 points. But the game itself is cool. I love the asymmetrical starts. I love how your boards are all asymmetrical, and then how that really seems to affect how you play the game, where you place your workers, what you're picking up off the board. No, I think it's a great game. I really enjoyed my play of that. And then the second one, and my love for this game is growing more and more with every single play, and that is Bardwood Grove. I think I've played this 5 or 6 times now, and I've played a different bard every time, and it has been a completely different game.
Oh, that's great.
Every single time. I think it's awesome how they have made that so your base deck and your instrument that you're playing with your bard it really sets the stage on how you deck build and how you play the game, where you're going. It is awesome. I think that the designers have done such a phenomenal job making that to where the replayability is so high with that many. I think there are 12 bards in the game. So really high replayability in my opinion, because of the fact that, yeah, I have not gotten bored yet with 5 or 6 plays, because it has been different every time.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed that one the first time that we played it when you taught it. I think I had the bard that I played. I don't think I really understood how to use its ability.
Yeah.
Not that it was necessarily a bad ability. I mean, I obviously don't have enough experience with it to say whether it was balanced or not.
Well,
but
that was also our very, very, very first play. It was my first teach of it. And so there was that going against you too.
Right. So I didn't have like the best experience with it, but it was still really fun. And I think I still won.
You did.
Could be wrong. I think I still won.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So, but this is one that I really want to try again. I was going to join you for one of the games, and then I got playing stuff with Lydia, so I feel bad I didn't get to join you again. But I want to play this again.
I played this initially with Amara, and then my best hug friend Marissa, because she likes all the same games as me.
Awesome.
So. Anyway, we played that, and then we finished, and Marissa's like, "Can we play that again?"
Oh, good.
So she's like, I have my head wrapped around it. Can we play again? I'm like, oh, absolutely. So she played the same bard because she's like, I know exactly how to play this now. And then I switched it up, and yeah, she did substantially better. It was you could tell she had it figured out. She was doing some awesome stuff. So yeah, it's a great game.
Very cool.
So I omitted one social game. And we've
already moved past the social games.
No,
it's too late.
We're going back. This one was way important because we did play Salem, 1692,
that's right,
and my wife, who really hates social games like Werewolf and Salem, she decided she was willing to play this, and she was the witch both times, and she played it superbly. She complains that she hates that she can't read people, that she can't understand, and she doesn't follow, and she's not a good fibber, and she doesn't bluff well, and she was phenomenal, and she had a great time and won both the games that she was in as a witch. And the fact that she played it once was great, and I thought it was good, and she seemed to have fun, but her willingness to play it again a second time was fantastic for me. So that's something I think that in the future, maybe we can get her to play again at one of these events, because I think she really decided that she had fun with playing this kind of social deduction game and was able to get invested in it really quite quickly and was bluffing like there was no bluffing ever before.
Wow, that's awesome.
I don't know if that made sense, but
I got it. I understood it. So I'm
wow.
sure if
she
I
was
got
bluffing.
I'm sure I got it. I'm sure if I did, everybody else did. But that's awesome.
We played a few games with Cheryl where she would smile at your face while she stabbed you in the back.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had some good moments at MonCon. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
She was a tough competitor.
It's nice to see a little bit of a fun side to her that, that she has lots of fun sides, but it was nice to see her embrace some of these other games. And it was playing games with her, getting her kind of trapped in this thing, because she was like, well, we're going to go, hopefully we're going to have the time to go hike and do all this other stuff. And I said, sure, if we can. And then when Andrew saw the bears up there, and then there was kind of that whole fear of, okay, you know what, maybe we're going to be indoor cats while we're here. And we did get to go do some stuff outdoor, but it was when we were in a large group. And for the most time, we stayed inside and played some games. But Amara was really excited and wanted to play a game with Cheryl. And so Amara has this fascination with Castles of Burgundy. And this is like day one, and she really wants to play this game with Cheryl. And I'm like, whoa, slow your roll. This is a fire hose game, and Cheryl's going to get mad and frustrated. And on the first day, she's going to be back in the room because she doesn't want to play games anymore. But Amara was adamant about it. And so I'm like, okay, let's ruin this weekend. But Cheryl loved it. She had a ton of fun, and she asked me if I had the game, and I didn't. So I was thinking, oh, do I pick it up? And I went and I found it, and then I backed out, and I decided, okay, I don't know if it's something that we can get to the table that often.
Wuss wuss.
Yes, absolutely. And
Well, I know a guy who has it.
I agree. That's kind of what led to it. But that's the thing. I mean, I know Andy has it, but when is the opportunity going to come up that Cheryl and Andy are going to be at the same game night wanting to play?
Well, you might have to plan it that way a little bit, but it just
Maybe
can happen.
Just to make sure Amara's there so that she can say, hey, do you want to play this with me again?
That's true.
But, it is available on BGA, and so we did start, and she took one turn so far and hasn't taken anything since.
Oh, really?
And we have been busy since getting home, reality is a kick in the shins for sure, because it's just plain stinks to go back to work.
I actually got to play Castles of Burgundy twice.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So
who else did you play? I don't remember seeing it. Oh, no, you played it on the first night too.
We did. Yeah. So I played it twice that same day. I played it with, it was one of the first games we got out, actually. I played with Claudine and Marissa, and they both really enjoyed it. I know Claudine, I think, has that version. She just doesn't have all the 3D buildings and pieces, just the castles. But it was one of those that I don't know if she had actually played her deluxe copy or not. I think she said she hadn't. So it was fun to get that to the table. And the table presence of that game with all the 3D pieces is just... It's amazing. It really is amazing. And it's just a great game anyway.
Yeah, I love Castles of Burgundy. It's really good.
So while you guys were doing the falling flat on its face social games, I got to play Potion Explosion and Clank Catacombs, and it was just those two. But the other time I decided to get a jump started on cleaning because there was no way I was party gamed out at that point. But got some.
It takes a lot to make that little mouth smile.
It really does sometimes.
It wears out fast.
Those muscles aren't used to being used. All right, I needed to rest.
I get that for you.
But no, it was Potion Explosion is one that I've had in my collection for years, and it still amazes me how often that gets to the table. It really does. My kids love that game, so that's probably why it gets to the table as often as it does. But it was fun to play that, and it was just Amara and I, and Amara and I played Clayton Catacombs. I'm surprised that we didn't get that to the table another time with a full player count, but it's right up there as far as it's my favorite Clank game, but it's right up there as far as games go. I think Clank Catacombs is a wonderful game. But I'm glad that we actually got to play those two this weekend as well.
That's awesome. What's the kid on The Simpsons that does the little
Nelson?
Yeah, Nelson.
I feel like I need to point at both of you and say, because I got to play Concordia with Julie and Claudine.
I know, and I was so upset at that because I really wanted to play it, and I can't remember what game I was roped into.
Yeah, you were on that other table over there doing something.
And it was something that I wasn't really excited to play. I mean, I was always glad to play a game, but we had already started, and then you guys started to say Concordia, and then Cheryl's like, well, you can go play that instead. And I was like, well, we're already in the middle of the game. I'm not going to be that guy. And then I saw Dave sit down at the table, and I said, I'm okay.
He actually did okay. It was good. It was fine.
I played several games with Dave and had no issues with his AP.
Yeah, he did great this weekend.
Yeah, he really did.
In fact, we played, not to get away from your Concordia.
Yeah,
maybe I'll just leave it at that.
Maybe you should just let me run with Concordia, okay?
Yes.
Trying to hijack my highlights.
Sorry.
Okay. But no, I had a fantastic time playing Concordia. Concordia is a really fun game. And Julie had brought it up there. She had heard us talking about it on the podcast and how we hadn't played it. And she was like, oh, I have to take that up there and teach those guys how to play.
Which is why I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I knew she'd brought it for me.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If we haven't said this before, it definitely bears mentioning. Julie is a fantastic game teacher. Like, we need to recruit her to teach some of the games at like SaltCon and stuff, because she does a fantastic job at running through a game. She knows how to introduce it right and hit all the highlights and go over things thoroughly. She did a great teach of the game, and we had so much fun. And Concordia is really, there's a reason why it's solid. It's or a classic, I guess is what I should say, because it's very solid. It's really good. And it kind of has that mechanism. So if you're familiar with something like Century Spice Road or Century Golem, where you have like a hand of cards that you can acquire more of, and you play them down one at a time to take the action on them. So Concordia is kind of played like that. So it's sort of like a hand management, hand building game, and you play them out. And then there's one card there that will let you take them all back into your hand and do a bunch of stuff. But you're just trying to spread out across the map, and you're trying to move your people and build settlements and engage in trade and do some of these things. The way that it works with the scoring, I think, is what's really phenomenal, because, you could get caught up in trying to build your little empire and expanding and doing all these things out on the board and totally neglect to actually focus on any points at all. So there's this really cool dynamic between what am I going to do on the board to build and gain resources and do all these things. And that's great. But then also, how am I going to build my hand so that when the dust settles at the end of the game, I can actually score some points? And it was very clear that Claudine had her head wrapped around this game because she did incredibly well. Like we got to the end and I thought I was kind of in the running. I was like, oh, I think I've done pretty good and all this. And then once we got to each one of the scoring things, she just was playing down cards that had the right colors. Basically, you have to have, certain cards that act as multipliers for certain conditions out on the board. And she just kept playing those multipliers out. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And she really blew us all out of the water. It was
like
pretty
playing
close.
A game with Richie.
It was pretty close between Julie and me and Dave, but Claudine really took us to task on that one. But tons of fun. I was so glad I got to play Concordia. Awesome game, and I probably will have to add it to my collection. It was really good.
Yeah, it is one that we decided to pick up, so I do have it and all of its glory.
I'm seeing it over there in shrink.
Yeah, and it's one that I was anxious to get to, and when Julie said she was going to bring it, I was even more anxious to play it, and bummed that I didn't.
Well, we'll get it taught to you.
I hope so. Hope so soon. While we're not on the topic of social games, I want to go back to talk about some more social games.
Nope. Andy, what you got?
All right, so we did pick a pen, and
so we did get a new game to the table. You guys are heartless. And this was a newer game. It's been out for a while, but a newer game to my collection, and that was Doodle Dash, which was another game that I picked up for an opportunity to play like this. And Doodle Dash is a very simple whiteboard game where you have kind of like what your aggression pawn is in Magic Maze, but you have that out on the board, and then you have a die. Everybody's going to get a paper except for the guesser, and then the guesser is going to pick a number 1 through 5 on the card. Everybody's going to see the clue, and then they're going to start drawing. And then the first person who thinks they've got enough on their drawing, they're going to take that aggression token, and that indicates that they're going to be the first person to offer their clue. And then the second person is going to grab that die, and they're going to start rolling that die. And then on that it's a 6-sided die, and on 2 sides of it has a little stop hand, and they're going to roll that die until they roll that stop hand twice. So it can happen, 2 rolls, or it can happen sometimes 20 rolls later. After that stop hand has been rolled twice, everybody stops, and then the clue giver the guesser gets to see the first drawing. And they will look at that drawing, and then they'll make a single guess. And if they get it right, then the guesser gets a point and the drawer gets a point. If not, we'll go to the next person. Then if they'll look at that drawing, and they'll be able to reflect on what the first person drew, and maybe decide at that point, oh, okay, that all makes sense, comes together, here's the answer. Or if that fails, then everybody else will flip up their picture, and then hopefully at that point, the guesser can definitely figure out the answer. The guesser will get a point, and everybody who is not the first or second revealer gets a point. And this was a very simple game, but actually ensued with a lot of fun and funniness, and was very enjoyable. So this was one that I was very glad to pick up. And Andy, I think you'd like this one too.
yeah.
Yeah. And then another somewhat, I want to call it a social game, but I don't think it's a social game at all. But that was Ready, Set, Bet, which is a game where we could play with 9 people.
It's just a fun game. It's not a party game.
Yeah, I would not consider it a social party game at all. But it is a fun game that you can play with 9 people where you're watching the app run horses and trying to make your bets according.
Yep. This
and
was
I
fun.
stink at this game.
Yeah.
Apparently, my daughter doesn't.
You
No,
struggled.
she was awesome.
No, take
Lords
that
of
girl to,
Vegas.
take that girl to Vegas.
Because she destroyed everybody in Lords of Vegas, too.
Yeah. No, she did well. I thought that I had the W on that. I had almost 100, I think at the end, $100 or points or whatever it is. And then she was like, 120 something. And I was like, okay. All right, Sierra.
Yeah.
you win.
And I love that game. I love the app that is integrated with that just so you
the app
can
is great.
You can include all players, so nobody has to pretend to be the horse racer. And the app does really well with, oh, look at this guy coming around the head and winning and doing all this. And where it'd be like with me, 2, 4, 7.
Yeah.
And just that inflection that the app puts in is
I think you have
superb.
to play with the app. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because you pulled out the game and you threw out the board first, and it was kind of had not warpage, but just the way it's folded. The creases didn't lay very flat. And then we had all those little cardboard chips that represent like the different betting things and all that. And the whole time we were setting it up, I was just like, Man, I can't wait for that Vegas edition to come in.
Yeah.
The neoprene mat and the poker chips
deluxe,
and all that.
yeah.
Because I actually really do like Ready Set Bet. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm not actually very good at it.
I'm not.
I
good at it
did
at all.
well during that play, but I don't normally do very good. But it's a fun game, and it does sort of do it kind of captures some of that betting on a race magic. You know,
It absorbs a lot of that. Exactly.
It kind of gives you those feels. It's fun
of the horse racing and betting on those horses.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I thought it was a great game. Very much enjoyed my experience of that. And I think we played it at SaltCon. We ran an event for it the spring of this year. And it was actually a really big success. A lot of people really like that. So I think maybe we need to revisit that and add it again back to our repertoire, our inventory, our quiver of games that we bring to SaltCon.
Awesome. I concur. That might be one that we need to play more of. Andy, you were joking a little bit when we were making fun of Nathan for only talking about social games, but the three of us.
I'm done, by the way.
What's that?
I do think I'm done, by the way.
I'll believe it when I see it. But you did throw out Pick a Pen.
Yes, we all three of us plus Cheryl played Pick a Pen Catacombs, right? No, Tombs. Crypts. One of the three things. Something related to dead things.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, like, really kind of what you guys felt about that. Because man, it was gimmicky as all get out.
But the theme was so deep in that.
Yes, I really felt like I was in a crypt.
This was my second time playing it, and I don't mind it. It's a fun.
It's
quick,
a fun, little, simple,
quick game.
And it does have no theme whatsoever.
No, it does not. And the rolling pencils thing is so cheesy. But I will say, I think what I struggled with the most, actually, more than any of that though, was just that there were a lot of turns where you just kind of take what you get, and there's not really any strategy to it at all. You literally just mark what is left.
Yeah. Well, sometimes for sure. I mean, especially if you're the last on the round, that is absolutely what you're going to do is mark what is left. But I think the game does, I mean, and at least Crypts, I haven't played Reef or whatever the other one is yet, but
will the theme of that game, will it change it a lot? What do you think? Do you think if we played Reefs instead of Crypts, it would not matter at all
maybe
whatsoever?
It comes with different shapes on the pencils.
No, I think they're
the theme is totally meaningless.
They're the same shapes.
Yeah, and the thing that does I think it's a good game. This is a good game by Dr. Rainier Knizia, but the pencils have a sticker that's on the pencil that provides it with a shape on each side.
Right.
So it's kind of like a 6-sided pencil. Then as you're coloring on the pencils, the coloring on the paper, the pencils aren't very dark, and it's a big bulky pencil. And so I almost want to say that I want to see if Jim, because he has his laser engraver, I almost want to see if he could engrave the symbols on the pencil, or else just get a die.
I don't know why this didn't just have dice.
I think, well, because the theme of the game is the pick a pen, right? So it's, all three of these have this pencil that you're going to drop. Right. And, but yeah, I mean, if you use your pencil too much, then you got a little stub. What do you have to buy a new game at that point?
Yeah, it should be pick a pen still.
Pick a pen still. But I thought for the mechanics wise, I thought it worked out pretty good.
Yeah. And I guess if you want just a fast 10-minute filler,
and that's exactly
if
what
that
it
category.
is.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And so I didn't hate it, and I don't regret buying it. Although my wife said, "You have 3 like this."
You bought all 3?
She's like, "Oh." You were like, "Well, they came in a set." She was like, "Okay."
So she wasn't really thrilled with those. But I think, again, going back to, yes, if it's just a quick little filler game and 10 minutes. I don't see anything wrong with these games. I actually did enjoy the time that I spent playing with it, and I wouldn't say no to it in the future. So
cool. Well, speaking of smaller little filler games, not 10 minutes. This one's more of a 30 to 40 minute game. But I thought it packed a real fun punch, and that was Harmonies.
Harmonies was really good.
Yeah, and I don't know who brought that game. Marissa was the one that taught it to us.
So Claudine had it and Julie had it, I believe.
Okay, so that's right, because there were 2 copies of it up there, I believe. Okay, but we had a really good time playing it. She did a good job teaching it, and I enjoy Harmonies. It's one I've had to add to my list of games that I might try to procure at some future date. And Lydia really liked that one as well. But fairly simple premise. You've just got these little wooden tokens, and they can be laid out on your kind of hex grid pattern. And by creating certain patterns, you can fulfill certain objectives or score certain points. And the way that they all kind of combo off of each other, and the way the game works with its drafting, because you're drafting like 3 at a time. I liked it. I thought the components were good. I thought the game flowed really well, and it was super fast and easy to play.
Yeah, I really liked it. I was very anxious to play it again. We didn't get the chance to play it again this weekend, but it is one that I am actively looking to pursue, and I was hoping to find it available already. But it is out there, so hopefully it will make it to game collection soon. Another filler game that we did get to play was we got to play Line It, which was a newer one and had a little bit of maybe an understanding curve as it went through. But this is a simple card game where you're going to flip over cards, and you're going to flip over cards, 2 more cards than there are players, I believe, and you're going to draw one of those cards. And at the start of the game, you can either put that card in front of you or add it to your hand. At most in your hand, you can store 2 cards, and you're going to try to put your cards down on the table in either ascending or descending order. And then later you might draft a bonus card that you're trying to say, okay, well, my run of cards is going to get at least 5 more cards after this point, or 3 more cards after this point. And you're trying to, as you draw cards, draft cards, play them in that order to continue your run. Pretty simple game, and it almost felt like it was too simple. It was one of those games that, as we were playing it, my wife kind of felt like this is too simple. Sierra was kind of the same way, that this is just pick up, put down, pick up, put down. I wanted to play it again to give it another shot, but nobody was really anxious to play it again. But the box is really cool. It's a little slide box.
The box is cool.
And I don't know if that's a bad thing, that's the highlight, but I didn't dislike it at all, and I do look forward to playing it again. It does have a nice BGA implementation on it that I started with a game with my wife, so I snuck in a second play with her after all, so we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
And then we did try, I read several new games while we were up there, and another one that was along that same line was Romy Ramy. So Romy Ramy is, you have 4 quest cards that you're trying to complete, and then you have an open market of 6 cards. And out of those 6 cards, they'll have a number and a suit. And so you can draw up to 3 cards from that market. They have to have some sort of commonality between them. They can all have the same number. They can all be of the same suit, or it can just be a single card. But you can draw up to 3 from those cards, and you're trying to gather those as your suits or into your hand. And then you're trying to complete those contracts. It was very simple. And we were playing it the first time, and everybody's like, okay, this is kind of dumb. This is kind of dumb. And then I was like, well, you're right, because I taught it wrong. So we corrected my incorrect rules, and then we played it, and then we played it again, and then we played it a third time, and everybody really enjoyed it. We played it with Linda and Debbie and Cheryl and I, and it was... our scores all improved each time, and we very much enjoyed it. But that was Romy Ramy. It's a Romy, Romy, R-O-M-I-R-A-M-I, 2 words. Very fun, simple little Rummy style game.
Cool. One of my other big highlights of the convention was getting to play Wormspan with Claudine and Marissa.
Cheryl was actually pretty jealous of that. She really wanted to play that game again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she really liked that game. Oh. I still haven't played it.
Well, I'll play it with her. We'll get it to the table at some point.
Or can I play too?
Depends on how many social games you bring up for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. Also, it's adjacent to Wingspan, and we all know how you feel about that. Yeah, so
there's
I don't know.
Some hurt feelings there.
No, we had a really, really good play of Wormspan, and like I said, got to play that with Claudine and Marissa. The scores at the end were really, really tight, and I thought that it was another one of those games that I thought I had it in the bag, and everyone was really close, and we were tallying up the scores, and Marissa actually pulled off the W with some pretty clutch end game points.
Well, good for her.
And yeah, she did a great job. It was really cool. But that's the second time now that I've gotten to play Wormspan. The first time I liked it, but I was like, it's Wingspan, Wormspan, not sure which I like better kind of thing. After this play, I can say I think I like Wormspan more than Wingspan.
I don't think that's hard.
I had a great time playing Wormspan. Thoroughly enjoyed it and can't wait to play it again.
I love Wingspan, and I think I like Wormspan better too. It really is a great game. That made me think of one of my highlights. It was while I was playing the Castles of Burgundy in the upper floor there with Claudine and Marissa, I heard the docile tones of Doug saying, "Hey, Andy." And I hollered down, "What, Doug?" "We just tied." "Oh, really, Doug?" "And Lydia won the tiebreaker." So,
Yep.
little known fact, Doug loves ties, and he ties all the time.
Oh my gosh, I hate ties. I can't stand ties.
How often do you win those ties?
If it's not for first place, I don't care. I don't care about tying other players if it's not for first place. I get first place ties all the time. And the tiebreak rule is always whatever I didn't do. Every time it's like, what breaks ties? Whatever I didn't do and the other person did. And I'm right. 9 times out of 10, I lose the tiebreak rule. Yeah, and
I believe
sucks.
you.
And it was
Tiebreaks hate me.
yeah, we were just playing silver and gold. And Lydia had built it was basically like, well, the person who wins the tie is the person who has the most gray cards that they've built. And Lydia had built 1 gray card and I didn't have any. And it was like, okay, awesome.
That's awesome.
Super cool. But the minute I lost another tiebreak, I had to let Andy know because, Andy always gets a good kick out of it when I lose a tiebreak.
It does bring a smile to his
It
face.
does bring a smile to that little face. Yep.
So another new game that I picked up and brought and taught, which actually turned out to be a really good game and got played, I think, at least 6, maybe even 7 times up there, was, Andy, can you say that for me? Agueda? I think that's what it is. Agueda, City of Umbrellas. This game was great. It has these really fun umbrella pieces. Did either of you get a chance to play this?
No.
I was part of the setup and half the teach.
Oh, and then you had to go off help.
And then I had to go off and
Help
do other
breakfast.
things. Yep.
Yeah, you missed out because this game was phenomenal.
Yeah, I really want to play it. I noticed that it actually got played quite a few times. And
Yeah.
after you had taught it to a couple players or a couple people and had a couple games, I noticed that some of the Hug Ladies were actually grabbing it and teaching it and playing it at one of the tables too.
Super easy to learn, super easy to teach.
Yeah, I want to play this one. You need to teach this one soon.
Yeah, so you set out this umbrella field out there and you have 3 rows that you're trying to fill that represent not your market, but the area between some buildings, so that you will set up all of your umbrellas to span across these 2 buildings. And you have 3 rows that have umbrellas that are in diagonal angles, and you're trying to scoop up umbrellas in either 3s, 2s, or 1 umbrella, and then add them to your lines and try to collect enough of a certain color, collect enough of even number of colors. Very well done. Very easy to learn, masterfully done with the colors and the beauty that it provides. This game was great, and I very much want both of you to play it, and I'm pretty sure that after you play it, 1 or 2 of you are going to be owning it as well.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, because it was just so easy, so accessible, goes up to 5 players, plays really quick. I think it was a half hour to 45 minutes.
Nice.
And just kind of gives you not quite the Azul feel, but it just it does scratch that same sort of an itch, but it doesn't kind of blend as well as Azul. But the feel that you get from completing those rows and drafting those umbrellas, yeah, it's great. I thought that was an amazing pickup, one that my wife really liked, and one that we're going to be playing a lot of, I think.
Awesome.
So we got to play a couple rounds of Draft and Write Records.
without me.
Yeah, and I realized I probably should have gone and played Werewolf.
Yeah,
Have you not played that
You and me
before?
have both.
Okay.
They were two really rough games. It's like,
Yeah.
have I just forgotten how to play this game? I know it's been a minute, but my goodness, it was terrible.
Were they
Yeah.
with Richie?
Yes.
They were with Richie, and Richie did win, but it was not. It wasn't his fault. Like, I don't know what happened. You and I both had rough games. Both of those games were rough. I just couldn't get any synergy. I was looking at my score thing, and I was going, man, my high score is 252 points.
You did much better than I did.
And I just
though.
scored 100.
You were marking stuff off all over the place, and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing that because I'm so far away from marking anything off and getting any synergies at all. I think I scored 37 points or 47 points that first game.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was.
wow.
It was a low scoring game.
It was so bad.
It's still a fun game, though.
Jury's out. The jury was back until those two plays, and now it's back out again. It's like, did we make the wrong choice on this?
I love that game. I think it is so good. One I
Yeah.
just love playing over and over and over again. And you do have those games where you can get those combinations, you can get stuff to work together. And then you have those games you're like, I can't use any of these.
Yeah.
Every band member I pick up doesn't harmonize with anybody, and I get stuck with these low numbers that I have to use.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
the issue with that first game is we had nothing but band members. And so my band members filled up super quickly because that's all I could take. And then
That forced the end of the game
Yeah.
sooner than you were
well,
exploded.
we ended up doing the goals because Richie was doing so much better than the rest of us. But it's like, man, were you like had a deck of cards hidden underneath the table or something? Because I
dropped
went to
two
the same
cards.
cards.
You guys
Felt
get
that way.
one.
Yeah, it
You
felt
know?
that way.
I really did.
Still had a good time playing it, though. Nathan, you taught us one called In the Footsteps of Darwin. And Lydia and I both really liked that one as well. That was a really fun game. Probably on the lighter side of medium weight.
Well, this is one of the Spiel des Jahres nominees.
Correct. Yeah.
So you have that one, Captain Flip, and Sky Team. And
Right.
And so the Spiel des Jahres nominees are often kind of lighter games, which this fits into that category
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then you have Sky Team, which I think was Sky Team I found.
I love Sky Team. I think it's
I
great.
do. I love it as well. But I find the complexity or not necessarily the complexity, but the challenge in Sky Team to be far greater than the challenge of In the Steps of Darwin. And then you
can see
compare,
that.
you throw in Captain Flip, and Captain Flip is just like this super easy game. And I'm like, the scale here just, I don't,
Well, they do that deliberately though, right? They have the Kinderspiel, the Spiel, and then the Kennerspiel, right?
yeah.
And this
Well,
was-
these are all Spiel des Jahres. They're in the same category.
Oh, they were all in the same category.
Yeah, they're all in the same category.
Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, that seems like a little bit of a weird spread. But In the Footsteps of Darwin, I think is worthy of a nomination. It's a really, really good game. We all had a great time playing it. I think what was really impressive about it is how fast you can take your turn. Like there was no one there. We were playing. So let's see. I think it was me and Lydia and you and Cheryl and Amara, I believe.
Yep.
So all five of us were playing it, and there was no AP at the table. There was no paralysis at all whatsoever. Everyone just took their turns. You were filling up your board and trying to get scoring combos, and the decisions were interesting, and there were a plethora of them to make that were fun, but it didn't get bogged down in its own cleverness. You could still try to make the most efficient decision possible and build out how you wanted to try to score your points at the end of the game. I really liked it. I thought it was great. Lydia really liked it too. She talked about that actually on our way home. As we were driving back, we were, reflecting on all the amazing times we had. And that was something she brought up, was just how she liked that game and thought it was really good.
And the artwork in it was something I'm sure appeals to her, because the artwork was really pretty that was in it.
It was really good. Yep.
Yeah. And I got this intentionally to take up so we have the opportunity to play it, because it is one of the Spiel des Jahres. And same thing with Captain Flip. I am just blown away the variety of these games. But Captain Flip is a great little game too. It's just you draw a tile out of the bag, put it on your board, you draw it out, you look at it and make sure you can't see both sides of it. You look at the tile, decide if you want to place it that way or if you want to risk flipping it over and putting it on the other side. And then you have to put it at the lowest position in one of your columns. And then you're going to score points at the end. And depending on what's on your board, what's on your ship, and what position some of those tiles are, and what bonuses you've gotten for reaching the top of each of the masts. Simple little game, but comparing it to Sky Team and In the Footsteps of a Darwin, I'm just kind of like, it's a fun little game, but I don't know if I think that this should be in the same comparison of the other two. But,
Yeah.
but it does have a ton of replayability, so there is that for it. But I think all three of these have a ton of replayability in them, and it's just Captain Flip, though, of the three is at the bottom of my list.
I'm kind of getting that impression.
And I'm not sure which one I'd put on the top. I'm not sure of those three. Of those three, I know I wouldn't put Captain Flip as my nominee, but a Sky Team and In the Footsteps of Darwin, I'm not sure which one I'd pick.
Probably go with Sky Team myself.
Even though it's only 2 players.
Yeah, because it's really good. It is really, really fun, but it's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
So I got to teach Metro Runner.
Yeah. I really like this game. I was the one with the AP in this game.
Yes, you were.
You were.
That hacking, man, it was a challenge for you.
It was. And everything, I loved everything. I love the look of the game. I love the feel of the game. I love what we're doing. And then you get to that hacking. And the problem with the hacking is that it changes. It most likely is going to change before your turn. And so at your turn, if you're going to try to hack, you have to spend that time to try to do that. And then when you unlock, and so you're trying to connect 2, 3, 4 places,
Right.
the amount of AP that falls in there became greater. And I unlocked so I could do 3 connections pretty early. And so every time I'd look at it, I was trying to work really hard. How can I, in 2 moves, or how many resources am I going to spend? Well, I'm going to be spending 4 resources to get that to work. That becomes not worth it anymore.
Yeah. In a lower player count, obviously that is less of an issue.
Yeah, I can see that.
So before we played it at MonCon, which we had, I want to say 5 people at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
5 of us.
the most I had played was just with my wife. So we had just a 2-player game. And so you didn't run into that as quite so much, because the odds of both of you hacking it, consecutively one turn after the other was a lot lower. Whereas in a 5-player game, you're likely to have had it changed at least once before it comes back to your turn, because there was quite a bit of hacking going on.
Yeah. But because it changed as it was going around the table so much, I noticed most people didn't really start thinking about it until it got to their turn.
Right.
So it was like some turns were lightning fast, right? It's just like, I'm moved to this location. I'm going to grab these resources. I'm done. Move along. And then the next time it comes, it's like, well, I'm going to do a hacking turn. And it's like, okay, so we're going to be here for a minute. And it was, sometimes even the hacking went fairly fast, but there were definitely some longer hacking turns that the people had to look at the board, noodle it out, and figure it out, and myself included, right? But it was because you couldn't start to solve that puzzle until it was basically to your turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about the AP earlier in the episode, and this is the game where Dave was there, and Dave was not the issue at all. I was the one that had the AP. I was the one that bogged down the game. And I hated that it was me, and I hated that I kept doing it. And I actually ended up trying to avoid doing the hacking, even though I had some prime opportunities to earn more points from it. And it's probably what ended up costing me the game. But I had that pressure, that anxiety of, I'm bogging down this game. Yeah. And so I would avoid taking that. But I really liked the game. I like the look, the feel.
The aesthetic of it is really cool.
Yeah.
So the tiles for hacking, those were a Kickstarter exclusive. They're normally cardboard. But
nice.
Those metal tiles are actually really cool looking. So it was funny because when we had first played it, I had the cardboard pieces out, and Sabrina was taking out the garbage, and she's like, "Do you not want these?" And I'm like, "What is it?" And I had thrown them away.
Oh,
I totally pulled a Logan and threw pieces of my Kickstarter away.
Oh, good job.
And luckily my wife found them. There was the cards, the pickup and delivery cards that were just kind of sort of lame. That was just a edition Kickstarter exclusive. I don't know how I feel about them. I think it was more distracting than anything else. I don't think it really,
yeah, they didn't really add a lot. Although, I don't know. I'd want to play it again just to make sure. But yeah,
they provided an avenue for points.
Yeah. It did.
And just like Dave, they were always, with 5 people, they were always elusive for me to get.
Yeah. But I've had fun with that game. I wanted to play it with a higher player count just to see how it went. And that was definitely more of an issue, was the hacking. But otherwise, I felt it played quite nicely with 5 players. As
It did.
most turns that were quick. There were just really a few that bogged it down.
It still took a little while to get through, and bless Linda, she was a really, really good sport, because right before we had played that game, she was like, I can't really play anything heavy or long right now, and but I want to play a game with you guys, kind of thing. And I, you set it up, I think thinking it was going to go kind of like it did when you and Sabrina play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just sort of a quick, fast experience. And then Nathan was like, "Oh, I want to play that," and I was like, "Well, I'm sitting right here. Of course I'm going to play it, And then Dave's like, okay. Oh, I want to play. You know what I mean? And so it was one of those where it like went from like 2 or 3 to a full 5.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did escalate quickly. and she put a smile on her face and played the game very well, even though it took a little bit longer and was a little more thinky than I think she wanted. She was very sweet about it. And it was fun. Like it was a fun experience for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. This is one that I actually, if given the opportunity, would try to pick up.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I thought you were gonna say play again. I would play it again. I don't think I'd pick it up.
Play it again.
If Andy has it, I don't need to pick it up. But yeah, I'd totally play it again.
That somewhat is true, but other times it is not.
For Nathan, you never know.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, and I agree with that, because there are times where you're like, okay, this is something I want to play, but is this something that I could get Cheryl to play?
Yeah, there's that.
And it is becoming more and more easy to get my wife to play games. And as I trickle in some of the heavier games, I mean, I find something like this, that it is not a heavy game, and it fits right into that 60 to 90 minute time frame. I really think that she would enjoy this. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think she would. Yeah.
If I find it at a game swap, it's definitely going to get picked up by me.
Sweet. Love it. Speaking of games that had to get picked up by me, I couldn't take it anymore. We played Let's Go to Japan while we were out there. Claudine brought her copy and she let us play it, and we were sitting there at the table, and the components are so good. The game is so good. The teach went well. Everybody had a good time. Richie and Carrie, I think, played that one with us. Lydia played it. It's one she requests. Like, she likes to play that game. And in fact, it was her idea. She's the one that was like, I want to play this game again. And of course, I lived there for a couple of years. I love Japan. I'm excited about the theme and everything. Like, I love this game, and I've had so much regret that I haven't bought it. And finally, I just went to the website and bought everything. I was just like, I'm done. I'm out. I have to have it. I can't hold back any longer. So we played it, and I literally ordered it while we were up there. I was like, I have to have
Sarah.
It. Yeah, I had to do it.
Yeah. So. And you get your fun Let's Go to Japan tape that you can use.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
Put that on the shelf and never even look at that again.
Doug, you played Forest Shuffle again while we were up there, and I have yet to have played that game.
Oh,
you haven't played this yet?
I need to teach that to you. No. And here's the thing. We mixed in the Alpine expansion with it, and it was great. Yeah. Oh, the Alpine expansion, it adds some really fun things, and it, I think, balances it out just a little bit in some areas where it wasn't quite as balanced, or where there weren't quite as many of certain types of cards. Fantastic.
Excellent. I love to hear that.
I love Forest Shuffle. And we had a great time playing it. Marissa played that one with us. And yeah, Andy, we need to play that for sure. You will like that game, and I would love to play that game, and I love to teach that game. So we'll definitely get it to the table. It's a great game. Another
fun one that we learned that had kind of a little bit of a rough teach, kind of explaining and grasping what was going on, was Sandbag. So Sandbag is a trick-taking game where you don't want to take tricks. And I had the hardest time conveying the rules to everybody.
This was like Decrypto.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like another Decrypto. It's just hard to teach.
Yeah. But once we got it figured out, everybody enjoyed it. We had a ton of fun playing it, and it plays over 3 rounds, and each round got easier and each round got more fun. And so I was worried because I really like the game. I enjoy trick takers, and I thought this was a game that I was going to have to cull because no one's ever going to play it with me. But I think this is one that I could get to the table again. But you just got to learn how to teach it to people who have that teaching learning curve. And the rules are great because the rules give some really good examples. Yeah. And maybe that's just, and I ended up starting to do that a little bit. Like, here's a picture in the rules. This is what we're trying to do. Towards the end, I did explain it again to include Sierra and
Lydia. Yeah, they came late, so you had to reteach.
Yeah. And I think I did, and I ended up putting cards out on the table instead of
you put them out as though they were players, and it worked so much better.
Using a visual reflection or visual indicator helped teach that game quite a bit.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. Debbie definitely figured this game out.
Oh yeah,
She like really. And there was one round where we were all throwing our cards in, and I thought I was going to get like 3 or 4 of the -7s, and then she busted out it was just a 0, but she'd been holding on to it, and it was that last round, and I think there was some fist pounding at the table on my part.
I seem to recall that. Yeah,
But she got me good. Yeah, she did a great job.
My last one is I got to play Richie's game again, Opolis. We've play tested the heck out of this game, and he's made a bunch of changes. He made additional changes this time that we played with his updates. And man, I think this game is polished enough. He needs to get this thing over and in front of people to play to possibly get this published, or self-publish or something like that. But he needs to do something with it because it's to the point where it's like, yeah, this is a great game. You need to get it out there to the world and see how it does.
yeah. You guys talk about it all the time. I have such a hard time playing prototype games.
Why?
I don't know.
No, I do too. I don't enjoy it. I totally understand. But this one is it's good enough that it works. And actually his prototype stuff's fairly good.
Yeah, and I get that, and I guess that's just because I don't like that the next time we're playing it's going to be different.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah,
I guess I'm I like consistency in my games.
So you don't like legacy games at all?
Wow. And you went there. Just kind of took the air right out of all of those
you know
sails.
what? Nate doesn't like Seafall anymore.
Yes.
Wow.
It's happened.
I totally love Seafall.
But wait,
And
how can you love Seafall?
my words taste bitter. But I don't know. I still don't like playing prototype games.
Okay.
But I have played this, and it's not bad. But the fact that it's going to be different, it's hard to say I really like this game when it's going to be different the next time I play it.
I still think it's a great game.
And it is. I mean, there's also the issue of when you have a game that I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Tim Fowers or somebody else that said, it's great when you're trying to design a game, but you got to get it away from your friends and family who are going to consider your feelings.
They're going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first time I played it, I was not nice.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it, and I think it did offend him a little bit, but then he made some of the changes and it ended up being awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the same way is, it's raw, right? It's not unfinished. And I guess maybe that's probably part of my issue too.
Well, I'm with Andy on this, though. I do hope that he gets it published. I hope people can play Opolis sometime soon.
And I think that's the big thing is he's got to get it to either the Ion Awards or something to get some good feeling and get some good non-family feedback of how it works. Because it did work good. And I guess I always hate too when somebody's trying to teach me the game. There's all the extra material that comes with this. Well, we used to do this, but now we do this. We used to be able to do this, but now we do this. And so that kind of
bothers me too.
It kind of deflates the whole, you're teaching me a game. And I get that. That's a struggle, right? You're in a prototype stage and it's at that stage. But for me, I guess that's a struggle for me. And that's all me.
I won't ask you to play any of my prototypes.
And that's the other thing too, is I can't have such a bitter attitude. And then I think, I can make a game and not expect everybody else to have that same bitter attitude that I have. I'm going to shut up now.
You have such a bitter attitude.
Wow.
Your face looks like mine right now.
But with a bigger mouth. But I did get a chance to play Flamecraft where we were there. And Doug, you taught us that. This is a great game. Very excited about this. My wife loved that. Got to play Project L. Madrin. Is that how you say that one?
Mondrian?
Mondrian.
There
That was
go.
fun. I got to play Comet again. Sierra taught my wife's Comet.
What did you think of that play?
I really enjoyed it. I was slightly in a grumpy mood, and it feels like I've been in a grumpy mood every time I've played Comet. And I need to not be in a grumpy mood when I play Comet because I really like the game, but I was either tired or frustrated or grumpy or all of them. But I really like Comet, but I want to play it. I need to play it again. Cheryl really liked Comet. Got some fun games of Cross Clues. Social game. Forgot it.
Oh my gosh.
Skull King. And I don't know.
I like Skull King.
I know you like Skull King, and I think anybody who likes Skull King and then gets taught Rage doesn't really like Rage. And I think
Rage sucks compared to Skull King.
And I think anybody who's learned Rage and then goes to Skull King is like,
where has Skull King been my whole life?
why are we playing this? We should go play Rage. It was
Whatever.
okay. It was okay.
Come on. Skull King's pirate themed. Rage is just numbers.
Yeah. Rage has rules that are firm.
So does Skull King.
I know, but I don't like I always find myself now what beats what, and I lost several times because I played a suit that I thought was a non-pirate card, and like, oh yeah, you totally won that. And I'm like, I have all of that suit in my hand. I didn't want to win anything, and you're going to tell me I'm going to win every number with that? Yeah. So
sounds
a
like
Nathan issue,
yeah,
right?
it sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, for sure. Played Twice as Clever again. Haven't played that in a while. Ohanomi. And then we did get to play Cascadia Rolling Rivers again.
That was a lot of fun.
And that was good.
Which sheet did you guys use on that?
We used C?
No, it was B.
Was it B?
It was B. Yep.
How different was it from A?
It was quite a bit different.
Quite
from
a bit different, yeah.
It was like almost a completely different game.
That's awesome.
Lots and lots of combos possible on that one.
Yeah.
So because instead, the number that's in the little hex, instead of just giving yourself those points, you instead circled that number of hexes on the sheet, and as you went across, you got a bunch of scoring combos.
Nice.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was good.
Cool.
It's very good.
That's a good game.
Yeah, I'm liking it more and more. I like to play Rolling Hills
Yeah.
and get some of those other maps played. But yep, I think it's very solid. Very good game.
So total for me, 28 different games.
Wow,
I think I ended up playing 36 games total.
Wow, you played a lot more than I did. I played 27 games total, but not a lot of duplicates.
So yeah, it was good times.
It was way good. Yeah.
I got my money's worth for sure.
Sierra was keeping track of her games, and I think she
doing
said
well.
She did. She won almost 50% of her plays.
Did she?
Yeah, she did very well.
Sarah was giving her grief about selling her soul to win games.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a phenomenal weekend. Again, we can't thank Julie and Eric enough for allowing us to come up there and for them to be such gracious hosts and for everybody to be such amazing people. It was absolutely a most wonderful, perfect weekend.
Yeah, it really was. It was fantastic.
All weekends should be that wonderful and perfect and that long.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that at all. Also, just a quick shout out. I know this isn't a food podcast. However, we also ate amazing food. We had homemade pizza. We had gourmet breakfasts. I mean, the amount of effort that people put into even the snacks, like Linda made her Carmelitas, and we had hot cookies and cinnamon rolls, and you name it, we had it there. Everyone pitched in. Everybody did an amazing job. Andy made a fantastic brisket and pork belly. I'm trying to think of all the other different things we had, but we ate like kings. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The food was so good.
And I'm sure we left them with a ton of leftovers up there. And they wanted us to take them for sure. When we were home, Cheryl asked, did we bring any of the hash back with us? I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I forgot that. Forgot the yogurt too.
Well, there were some leftovers that didn't get left because Amara decided that there was free food. So I went to unpack the cooler when we got home, and a lot of the leftovers made it home with us instead.
Did any of my hash get there?
No.
She didn't like that, huh?
I don't know. I don't know if she liked it or not, but we got eggs and ham, and we got, don't even know what was in the other bag, but we got lots of stuff.
That's awesome.
And our fridge is full of leftovers from MonCon.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Maybe Julia just kept saying, hey, take this, take this, take
Maybe
this.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Absolutely fantastic. Could not possibly have been better. And I hope, fingers crossed, I hope it's a thing we get to do again at some point in the future. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't want to say that because that is purely up to them.
Correct.
And don't want to try to force that at all. But
absolutely,
it was amazing.
Yep, it was very generous of them. And
yeah,
memory I'll cherish forever, for sure.
For sure.
Definitely. Well, cool. Those are our MonCon highlights. We've had a good time, lots of fun games played, and lots of awesome memories made. Until next time.
We'll see you getting lost in the woods at MonCon and using a game table at the game table?
Hopefully.
Question mark? Yeah.
Well done.
Kind of blobbed that one, didn't I? Blobbed? Blubbed. Flubbed?
The first one worked.
I'm stopping.
Good call.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, MeepleNation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, MeepleNation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.